we're going to experiment. We're going to try to make this thing that we like having at a restaurant. We're going to try to make this at home. And so there's going to be some trial and error to figure it out, but that's how you learn.
Welcome to the Simplified Organization podcast, 15-minute conversations with real moms about managing home and family life cheerfully to the glory of God. We can actually enjoy housework and love being homemakers when we focus on truth and work with gratitude. I'm Mystie Winckler, homemaker for 23 years, homeschool mom of 5 with 2 graduates, and author of the book Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done. I write and podcast at Simply Convivial, and I run Convivial Circle, a community helping women to excel at homemaking and do life cheerfully. And today I have part 2 of my conversation with Jessica Fisher. Jessica is a cookbook author and food writer. On her site, Good Cheap Eats, she enjoys helping people who want to save time and money so they can enjoy stress-free meals. She and her husband paid off $60,000 in debt over the last recession while keeping their 6 kids fed, clothed, and homeschooled. Now, in the first part of our conversation, we talked mostly about that money-saving budget aspect of making food at home. And she had some tips that I have actually not heard of or tried myself before. So it's definitely worth catching if you missed it. And now in this episode, we continue our conversation and talk about how to get a family dinner on the table regularly without it taking up all the time or brain space, because we've got other things like homeschooling going on. Grab a basket of laundry to fold or some vegetables to chop while we dig in. So then what are some of your favorite family meals to save money and also to feed a larger family when you also have other stuff going on in the day, like homeschooling or other
Right.
projects? It's a lot. And it sometimes feels like that balance of, well, I can either have a family-friendly meal and I took all day to make something, or I can save time, but it costs more money, and all that juggling. What are some of your favorite solutions?
I think, well, one is reducing decision fatigue. And so I am a big proponent of the meal plan template, having some basic ideas for the week so that you're not scrounging and scrambling for like these brilliant ideas every single week. And when you have a meal plan template, especially with younger kids who might be pickier eaters, if they know tacos are every Tuesday, if they like tacos, they have something to look forward to. And if they don't like tacos, then they're prepared. They're not going to get this surprise. Oh, mom's making something I don't like tonight, right? They're not going to be surprised at the last minute. They can kind of prepare themselves and just kind of know that that's happening. But it also just relieves a lot of your own mental weight to just know we're doing tacos on Tuesday, and I know that I have salsa, and I know I have tortillas, and I know I have cheese. So we pretty much have 4 or 5 regular meals every week, and I can vary it with taco night. Like I can vary the meat, I can vary the tortilla or the vehicle that's coming in, or I might make enchiladas or burritos, but we have the same basic ingredients that I know I'm just going to stock those up every week, and so it makes it really easy to not really think about it too much. So we tend to do, obviously, that's for dinner tonight, but I also do homemade pizza once a week. And after 20 some years of making it every week, kind of have it dialed in, and I know it's going to turn out. And we have our favorite toppings, and it's a weekly thing that everybody looks forward to. I tend to, because we live in Southern California and we can grill all year round, and my husband loves to grill, so it's kind of a no-brainer to let him do the main cooking. And then I do a seasonal vegetables and then either a pot of rice or like roasted potatoes or something like that. So trying to keep it easy, that it kind of is flexible with whatever is on sale. I can usually find something on sale that's going to fit any of those parameters. In wintertime, I love to make casseroles and soups because you can kind of shop your kitchen for lots of different things and make the homemade sauce or make the soup homemade. In summertime, we lean on a lot of salads piled with chicken or some other protein.
Well, I love that point that you made about the pizza, about after so many years, you have it dialed in. And I think sometimes when you're starting at the beginning of that kind of plan, it feels like a lot of work. But when you put in the work making the same thing several times, you do get better and faster at
Yeah.
it. And it becomes kind of second nature. And so even though you're still doing the work, it's not the mental load that it was
Hmm.
before, but you have to first put in those reps.
Hmm. Yeah, and do some research and be willing to have some flops. Each time I write a cookbook, the kids would say, what's for dinner? And I would say, well, it's an experiment. And I think even for a family that's not writing a cookbook, just we're going to experiment. We're going to try to make this thing that we like having at a restaurant. We're going to try to make this at home. And so there's going to be some trial and error to figure it out. But that's how you learn, and that's how you figure out what you like and how to make it your own. And so there have been quite a few restauranty kinds of things like pizza or tamales that we've learned to make ourselves at home that didn't always turn out the first time, but with repeated trials, we figure out what we like and what we don't like and how to tweak it. Yeah.
Yeah. A failure one time doesn't mean you should completely write that off.
Right. Right. And I think that you make a really good point that to keep trying at something, right? Like sourdough for me, I did it, I don't know, 6 years ago, and it was a year-long project to really understand what we liked, um, how the sourdough worked, how I could work that routine into my everyday so that I didn't have this massive blob all over my counter every morning. Just working that routine took some time, but then there's the rewards are so huge that it really is worth putting in the effort.
Yeah, and even repeated exposure for the kids too. Sometimes kids don't respond well the first time, and it's not that you should never make that again, but it's like they just need a little practice, a little. I, I like that where you were talking about an experiment where it really was for you with the cookbook, but we can have that approach and just
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be your favorite the first time. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, I didn't believe the pediatrician when she said they'll outgrow their picky eating. And I was like, how is that going to happen? But my pickiest for his birthday requested sweet potatoes this last year. And I was like, what? Because that was the food that I would make, and I would say you have to have 2 bites. It was that kind of meal. And now he requests it. And so I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, patience in the kitchen is really important for you and for your family, and you'll figure it out.
Such a good point. Do you have any final tips or thoughts that you'd like to share?
I'd say just focus on the things that you love to eat, and obviously trying new things, as the budget and time allows. But when we focus on the things that we truly enjoy, whether that's, then it makes that reward of shopping the sales or using what we have, or, maybe putting off some other purchases so that we can, make the budget work. When it's something that you really enjoy, then it feels like it's a reward, but you did it in a way that was a good stewardship of your resources.
That's so good. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Jessica.
Yeah, thank you.
Cooking dinner and getting it on the table is an important element of family life that really is worth the time and effort for us, for our kids, and for the family as a whole. So keep up the good work and check out the resources in the description of this episode for free resources from Jessica Fisher with recipes and different templates for making family dinners more feasible and budget friendly, and also a few resources from myself as well. You can find those links in the show notes, in the episode description. And remember to repent, rejoice, repeat.